The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is one of the most enduring and complex conflicts in modern history. Its roots lie in the early 20th century with the rise of two competing national movements: Zionism, the movement for Jewish self-determination, and Palestinian nationalism, the movement for Palestinian self-determination. A pivotal moment came in 1917 with the Balfour Declaration. This British document expressed support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. The declaration ignited hopes for Zionists, but sparked fear and resentment among Palestinians. This set the stage for decades of conflict. The land we know as Israel and the Palestinian territories has been a crossroads of civilizations for centuries. It holds deep religious and historical significance for Jews, Muslims, and Christians. This makes the conflict about more than just land. It's about identity, history, and the right to self-determination. Following World War I, the League of Nations granted Great Britain control over Palestine. This period, known as the British Mandate, was marked by escalating tensions between Jews and Arabs. Jewish immigration to Palestine increased, leading to Arab fears of dispossession. The Arab Revolt of 1936–39, a violent uprising against British rule and Jewish immigration, underscored the growing unrest. The British, caught between competing demands, struggled to maintain order and find a solution acceptable to both sides. Their efforts ultimately failed, leaving a legacy of division and mistrust. The British Mandate era solidified the fault lines of the conflict. It witnessed the growth of both Jewish and Arab nationalist movements. Each side developed a strong sense of national identity and claim to the land. The stage was set for a showdown. In 1947, the United Nations voted to partition Palestine into two states, one Jewish and one Arab. Jerusalem was to be placed under international administration. The Jewish leadership accepted the plan. Palestinian Arabs, however, rejected it, viewing it as an illegitimate seizure of their homeland. The partition plan never took hold. War broke out almost immediately. In 1948, Israel declared independence. The ensuing Arab-Israeli war resulted in Israel's victory and the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. This event, known as the Nakba catastrophe in Arabic, remains a deeply traumatic memory for Palestinians. The creation of Israel and the displacement of Palestinians is a pivotal moment in the conflict's history. It solidified the state of Israel, but it also created a Palestinian refugee problem that continues to this day. The events of 1948 remain a source of deep resentment and mistrust between the two sides. The conflict did not end with the 1948 war. The Six-Day War of 1967 saw Israel seize control of the West Bank, East Jerusalem, the Gaza Strip, the Golan Heights, and the Sinai Peninsula. This victory dramatically reshaped the geopolitical landscape and led to Israel's military occupation of Palestinian territories. The 1973 Yom Kippur War, a surprise attack on Israel by Egypt and Syria, further entrenched the conflict. Though Israel repelled the attack, the war underscored the volatile nature of the region. Both wars resulted in significant casualties and fueled a cycle of violence and mistrust. These wars had profound consequences. They solidified Israel's military dominance, but also increased Palestinian resentment. The occupation of the West Bank and Gaza Strip became a central point of contention, further complicating the peace process. Section 5, Arafat and the PLO, a voice for Palestine. Amidst the turmoil, the Palestine Liberation Organization, or PLO, emerged as a key player. Founded in 1964, the PLO, led by Yasser Arafat, aimed to represent the Palestinian people and achieve Palestinian statehood. It gained observer status at the United Nations in 1974. Initially, the PLO pursued an armed struggle against Israel, carrying out attacks against Israeli civilians and military targets. However, in the late 1980s, Arafat renounced terrorism and recognized Israel's right to exist. This shift marked a turning point in the conflict's trajectory. The PLO's evolution from an armed group to a political actor was a significant development. It paved the way for future negotiations with Israel. However, the PLO's history of violence continued to cast a shadow over its efforts to achieve a peaceful resolution. Section 6. The Oslo Accords, a glimmer of hope. The 1993 Oslo Accords, a groundbreaking agreement between Israel and the PLO, offered a glimmer of hope. The Accords recognized the PLO as the representative of the Palestinian people and established a framework for Palestinian self-governance in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Oslo was a watershed moment. It marked the first time that Israeli and Palestinian leaders publicly recognized each other and agreed to negotiate a two-state solution. The Accords led to the establishment of the Palestinian Authority, tasked with governing parts of the Palestinian territories. Despite its promise, the Oslo process faced numerous obstacles. Settlements continued to expand in the West Bank. Violence persisted and mistrust between the two sides remained high. The assassination of Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin in 1995 by a right-wing Israeli opposed to the peace process dealt a major blow to the Accords. Section 7. The Second Intifada, the peace process crumbles. In 2000, the Second Intifada, a Palestinian uprising erupted. The uprising was sparked by Ariel Sharon's visit to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, a site holy to both Jews and Muslims. Sharon, then the leader of the Israeli opposition, was seen as provocative by Palestinians. The Second Intifada was marked by intense violence, including suicide bombings by Palestinians and military operations by Israel. The peace process collapsed, replaced by a cycle of bloodshed and recrimination. Both societies experienced significant loss of life and endured years of fear and instability. The Second Intifada had a devastating impact on both Israelis and Palestinians. It shattered the fragile trust built during the Oslo years and deepened the divisions between the two sides. It also led to increased Israeli security measures, including the construction of a separation barrier in the West Bank. Section 8. Hamas and the Gaza Strip. A new player emerges. The rise of Hamas, a Palestinian Islamist group, added another layer of complexity to the conflict. Hamas won Palestinian legislative elections in 2006, but its control of the Gaza Strip led to a split with the Fatah-led Palestinian Authority. Hamas rejects Israel's right to exist and has engaged in armed conflict with Israel. Israel has responded with military operations and a blockade of the Gaza Strip, which has a devastating humanitarian impact on the Palestinian population. The emergence of Hamas as a major force has further complicated the search for peace. Its control of Gaza and its commitment to armed struggle against Israel present a significant challenge to any future negotiations. Section 9. The Diplomatic Dance, International Efforts for Peace. Throughout the decades, the international community has repeatedly tried to broker peace between Israelis and Palestinians. The United States has played a particularly active role, often leading diplomatic efforts. The European Union, Russia, and the United Nations have also been involved. Despite numerous peace conferences, summits, and initiatives, a lasting solution remains elusive. The complexities of the conflict, deep-seated mistrust and political realities on both sides continue to hinder progress. The international community remains committed to a two-state solution, but a clear path to achieving it remains unclear. The diplomatic efforts, though often frustrating, underscore the global significance of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The conflict's impact extends far beyond the Middle East. It influences international relations, fuels extremism, and hinders regional stability. Section 10. The Ongoing Quest, the Search for a Lasting Solution. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a story of tragedy, resilience, and a seemingly intractable struggle for self-determination. It is a conflict that has claimed countless lives, shattered dreams, and left an indelible mark on the region and the world. Despite decades of violence and failed peace efforts, the desire for peace remains strong on both sides. Many Israelis and Palestinians yearn for a future where they can live side by side in peace and security. But the path to achieving that vision remains elusive. The search for a lasting solution continues. It is a search that demands courage, compassion, and a willingness to confront the painful legacies of the past. It is a search that holds the potential to reshape the future, not only for Israelis and Palestinians, but for the entire world.